Welcome everybody to Sofa King Devon. Remember to say that slowly. Dune Part 2 was released into theaters, and I've seen it 3 times now, so it's my current obsession. The story of Dune is wild and amazing, and a completely original sci-fi story. The original book was written in August 1965, and still holds up. Alright, I haven't read the book, but I plan to because this story is fascinating. So I made an entire episode of it as I dive deeper into the world of Dune. Just got back from watching Dune 2 again. It's so good. And check it out. I got the weird popcorn bucket. Okay, cool. Just maybe keep that somewhere where I can see that. Maybe keep that in here. Why? Just keep that in here. Listen, Gaib. What? I love going to the movies. Some people often wonder why I see good movies multiple times in theaters, and I'll tell you why. It's only in theaters right now. It'll never be in theaters again, unless it's big and there's some anniversary thing, but only right now. You can get a big tub of popcorn, a big soda, maybe a candy, and sit in those comfy chairs, recline a little bit, maybe it's got a tray, and just sit back and enjoy yourself. Those climactic moments on the big screen are something you're gonna remember. You'll get a different audience every time as well. There'll be bigger reactions, maybe smaller reactions, and you can finally hear those details that you didn't catch the first time. It's a good time. Welcome to the Devon Desk section. The first Dune was written by Frank Herbert in 1965. Now, I need to say it again, I haven't read it, but the cultural impact of Dune cannot be understated. Since it's been out, it's influenced pretty much everything science fiction since. Star Wars, Star Trek, Stargate, and pretty much every story in space are all influenced by Dune. Star Wars didn't come out until 1977. That's 12 years after. And the similarities in Star Wars to Dune are pretty crazy. Luke is on a desert planet with a galactic destiny. There's an evil emperor. Tatooine is big into moisture farming, and the Bene Gesserit voice strongly did influence the Force. Despite people comparing the desert planet of Arrakis to the Middle East and its oil, Frank Herbert originally got the idea from the dunes in Oregon. He originally was thinking of putting the setting on Mars, but he didn't want people to have a rough idea of the planet. He wanted it to be 100% new. It's not entirely about the technology, but the people and their relationships. The political and environmental themes throughout the story are what really make this one stand out. Religion, revolution, and warnings of tyranny were heard in the 70s, but still stand out today, which is kind of crazy for a story that was written almost 60 years ago. Frank Herbert wrote the first 6 Dune books, and after his death in 1986, his son and another writer wrote a lot more. The story of Dune is large, with many moving parts and a lot to cover. That's why I'm so glad that the newer movies by Denis Villeneuve were given 2 parts. It's a bit too much to shove into one 2-hour movie. But that doesn't mean people haven't tried. Today's movie, Dune, from 1984.
Long live the fighters!
Dune from 1984 was directed by David Lynch and starred Kyle MacLachlan as Paul Atreides, Francesca Annis as Lady Jessica, Sir Patrick Stewart as Gurney, Kenneth McMillan as the Baron, and Sting as Fade Ratha.
Let me, please, my lord.
Now, if you've seen the newer movies, it's pretty much the same story, but watching it back today, it is so weird. But at the end of the day, it's not the acting, the costumes, or the effects that weigh this movie down. The story is just too big. This movie is only 2 hours and 17 minutes long. Things just kind of happen. There's never any breathing room for the scenes or the characters' relationships.
Tell me of your home world, Uso.
There is a lot of exposition through the entire movie, which does make sense with it being just over 2 hours long. But it's always better to show and not tell. To try and help the audience, every character gets an inner voice to tell you what they are thinking.
I will not stop until I destroy the Emperor and the Baron.
The making of this movie is said to be an industry nightmare. Universal Studios had their hands on pretty much everything. And after finally being able to make this movie, David Lynch shot his version of the story, only for Universal to release a cut that David hated so much, at one point he had his name removed from the credits.
Father, the sleeper has awakened!
The movie opens with the Emperor's daughter giving a backstory to the audience, which is fine, but she isn't in the movie. They cut her from pretty much everything else. And in this one, the Emperor is heavily involved. The first hour plays out like Game of Thrones, introducing all the houses and their intentions. But that means we don't get to Arrakis, the setting of the main story, until like an hour in.
Bring in that floating fat man.
I didn't really laugh out loud at any of the effects or any of the overacting here. But that's a lie. The body shields? Bro. I get it. They tried, and they did not have the technology. But look at these things. It's just Roblox. And then they're never used again because it was too hard to create.
Now, guard yourself for truth.
The Lord Baron Harkonnen is disgusting. Now, I get it. He's the bad guy, but he just looks... Oh, he's got warts. He invades everyone's personal space. The way he acts, the way he looks, he just looks... I'm keeping it in.
The Yui has been very valuable to us.
They really focused on spice being a space drug that makes Paul trip out, so they can dump more exposition. It's all just very rushed, especially the Fremen. Paul meets the Fremen, is able to join them, and instantly becomes their leader. It's just not built up at all.
We call that one Muad'Dib.
But with everything negative I've just said, it's really not that bad. They tried, and I can see that. The final fight between Paul and Fade, is actually pretty good. This movie also had a rendition of the Wielding Way, the special way the Atreides family can fight. And the effect on the eyes of the Fremen is actually pretty cool, especially with this being made in 1984. Now, I would give this movie the Devon seal of approval, but what the hell is this thing? It shows up multiple times and doesn't get a backstory. Everything gets a backstory. What the hell is this thing? Hey, thanks for sticking around until the end. If you liked the video, leave it a like and subscribe if you're new around here. But as always, have a lucky day tomorrow. Was thinking of putting the setting on Mars, but he didn't want people. I'm even holding the script. He invades everyone's personal space. Shit. Very rushed. Especially the Fremen. Oh my god, the Fremen? Okay. No!